They're flipping through pages of idiotic things you've done throughout your life. You've done this within a couple of hours. You've done enough to fill up a whole yellow. What is that called?
We own P2.
Callback from earlier. So man, viral question of the day: how do you feel about this sicko, Mr. Brian Walsh, who is we ain't saying allegedly, man. He did that. How do you guys? I mean, how do you feel about him in general?
I mean, I didn't catch the entire story, just when they were reading off the last part of the papers, but I mean, it looks pretty crazy. He feels like he did it. I don't know.
For sure. I mean, like, whoever that cameraman is, I mean, he can be my best friend. I owe him a beer. Whoever that guy is, I owe him a beer when I see him. But man, we are on the Legendary People podcast. I'm your boy, Peanut, CEO of Dash Resource LLC, where my business is your business. I got Ahava El Elyon in the building.
What's up? I'm Ahava El Elyon.
What's your nickname today?
Ahavir.
Oh.
Ahavir.
Ahavir, very good. Yes. Oh, let me get my necklace out. Big drip. What they call big drip? Nah, what's going on, man? We want to say what's up to our sponsors. Sheiks for Breakfast, Agnes All Natural Grill. If you're ever injured, call attorney Michael Wright. When you want to get lit a little bit, get you some good old Kiara wine, you can contact Antoine Cunningham or swoop it up at More for Less. You ain't cool if you don't go to that school. What school is that?
Horizon Science Academy, Dayton High School.
Yeah, Horizon Science Academy, Dayton High School. Make sure you guys go and check out Horizon Science Academy, Dayton High School, man. I love them a lot. They got a great program over there, so make sure that you go over there and get it going with them. T-Shirt Kings, Gold for Your Mouth, Camera King Studio, Legendary People Podcast. Like, subscribe, ring the bell notification on the Legendary People Podcast on YouTube. T-shirts, we got the 50 shirts for $250. Screen printed, one color on one side of the shirt. Sell them, buy them for $5, sell them for $10, sell them for $20. We give you a quadruple up. And income tax time is coming, so of course you want to kind of go for your mouth. And sell stocks not dope every Sunday on the Dash Resource channel. Like, subscribe, ring the bell notification for that. And Network and Chill every Monday. And he drops the location of Network and Chill because they move around the different
locations and venues,
you know, because it's a network thing. So one week we might be networking here, another week networking there. I'm pulling up at Network and Chill. And last but not least, stolen the book of Ahava Elion, stolen from my mother, stolen from my father, named after my mother's murderer. The book is coming soon, so make sure everybody keep that at the forefront of your mind, so when we drop it, you'll be able to come through and get it. So now, without further ado, my brother Peanut Johnson, over to you,
man.
Bro.
You did a legendary, stupendous, magnificent job at doing the ads again, man. Like, I don't know how you do it, man. Like I remember I had to fill it for you a couple times, and I fumble the bag every time. And they're like, man, I don't want to spend no ad dollars on that. But thank you, man. I appreciate that. But as we say on the Legendary People Podcast, no legend is higher than the other one. And I'm telling you right now, this is one that's dear to my heart because this person helps me spiritually, okay? I didn't want to tell y'all because I didn't want y'all stealing my spiritual advisor, all right? But she's in the building. We have Bunny. How are you doing, Bunny?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Sure. The Aries Alchemist to all the rest of y'all, okay?
Yes.
Don't call her Bunny, okay? Unless you got some money. All right. So anyway, like that?
I do like that. I might take that.
So let's talk about some of your home beginnings. Like, where did you grow up at?
I grew up right here in Dayton, actually, mostly on the west side, and also in Trotwood. Moved around to a lot of different schools, though.
Okay, so like, what was your upbringing like?
I never know how to answer that exactly, but to sum it up in one word, I would say a little chaotic. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness through my mom. She got baptized she started practicing when I was like 3, but my father was never in it. And then my mom in the beginning was 1 foot in and 1 foot out because she still had a lot of ties to her family that was doing a lot of ungodly things. So it was just a lot going on all the time.
So what's that household like when you have, were they married?
Yeah, they're married.
So what's the household like when one person is like saying, I'm not with that, and then the other one is like, has these morals and principles and values that, you know, that are different than that? What was that like to see that from your eyes?
So I'd like to answer that in 2 parts because my parents got divorced when I was 9, and my mom got remarried when I was 11, and he was not a Jehovah's Witness either. But the experiences were drastically different with both. So my biological father, he completely opposed it. But my stepfather, he just didn't care one way or another. He just wasn't necessarily going to do it. So with my biological father, it was a lot harder because there would be times he would be like, well, you guys could go to the Kingdom Hall or you could eat, because he just was trying to force us to not go. But my mom really believed it was the truth. So we had to be there. And then as children having no choice, it's like, well, if I could have chosen, I would have probably had pizza with my dad. But it's like, my mom is taking us. So it's just a lot.
So on Christmas, did dad get y'all stuff and then mom be like, no? Like, I'm still confused on how that dynamic works.
I think we maybe had like 2 or 3 times where we had a Christmas party or something like that with our family. But so my dad is schizophrenic, so we didn't have like a lot of social stuff in general. So it wasn't a lot of times it really came up for real.
With your mom being a witness, was she baptized as a witness?
She got baptized when I was about 7.
And did they allow her to marry outside of being a witness? I mean, marry somebody who's not a witness if she was a baptized witness?
Allow is a strong word, but my mom and my dad got married before she was a Jehovah's Witness. So it's like you come in as you are. Yeah. And then at the time when they got divorced, my mom had actually stepped away from the hall. And so she was doing her worldly thing. And that's where she met her second husband. So when she came back again, it was like, well, you did that when you weren't technically a witness, you were out. And so when she came back, it was like she kind of got to start all over.
Okay. Yeah. Because I know that, well, when I was a kid, my father was a Jehovah's Witness too. So I know about being like disfellowshipped and all of these different like classifications that witnesses give you. So that's why I was wondering, like,
so she went inactive. She didn't get disfellowshipped or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like back then, like, what was your stance on religion, spirituality, any of that? What was your stance on it back then?
Well, I gave my first talk there when I was 7, actually. So by that point, so at the Kingdom Hall, compared to like some churches, they don't separate the children. You're all just in the same room together. So I was an active participant in the Kingdom Hall, like as soon as we started going. So I gave my first talk there when I was 7. So by that point, I'm truly believing like this is the truth. I'm believing I'm doing exactly what Jehovah God wants me to do. So there was like no burdens or anything. Because, a lot of people will have pity, like, oh, you didn't get to celebrate your birthday. But it's like, that didn't hurt me because I'm believing that me not celebrating my birthday is getting me closer to God, because that's what we're taught.
Okay, so what about school? So like, what schools you go to around this time in your life? Start elementary.
I went to several elementary schools. So I went to like Broadmoor, I went to Los, I went to Westbrook, I went to Valerie, and I went to Cornell.
Why you move around so
much? So, as I mentioned, my dad was schizophrenic, and so my mom was bipolar, and she had some other stuff going on too. So when my mom divorced my dad, because she was a stay-at-home mom, my dad was the breadwinner. She struggled entering the real world. And so we had a lot of times where she just wasn't paying bills and we would be homeless or whatever. And we would just have to move around. So we would have to switch schools too.
Mm-hmm. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I just was going to say, but any school that I went to, there was usually at least one other student that was a Jehovah's Witness. So it's like, we could always do stuff together. So like when the class is doing their thing, it's like, that's cool. We can go party in the hallway or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So your dad's bout with schizophrenia, what are some of the characteristics that like you can see like a hindsight that you was like, yeah, my dad really had an issue with it?
He is extremely violent. He also suffers from paranoia. So there would be like spans of years where we would not be allowed to go outside out of fear that like something would happen to us as soon as we step on the porch. Or like we have maybe 2 pictures ever of my dad because he thinks that cameras steal your soul. Like a lot of just chaos. It's a lot.
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, a time machine question.
Where do you go from there?
No. So do you believe that now? Like with, what I'm saying, you being more spiritually woke, was he onto something when it comes to cameras and transfers of energy through cameras?
I mean, he was. And so my understanding now, as far as energy goes, schizophrenia comes from an imbalance in your third eye and your crown chakra. So it's like some of what he's seeing is real, but he's probably not interpreting it the right ways, or some of it may not be real and he may know or he may not know, but it's so gray that like you can't tell when he's going to act on it or not, because he also has times where he's lucid too, but it's unpredictable.
Wow. Okay. So like how was middle school, like where'd you go for middle school?
I went to Dayton View Academy.
That the View. Okay. So like it's a different little change up there. So so obviously like you did the whole middle school there. So it was finally in a place where you have some type of structure, not moving around so much. Did it kind of feel antsy? Did you feel like maybe you shouldn't, like, because we had other people here before where they bounced around a lot, so when they got to new schools, they didn't even take time to meet new people because they thought they were leaving soon. Was it any of that for you, or did it kind of feel like, okay, I'm here for the long run?
It did not feel like the long run or anything, but growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, actually, so we have the door-to-door preaching, and so I'm just used to talking to people all the time. So it was never like, I don't want to engage with you because I might not see you long, because I'm used to that. Like, I'm used to just seeing people one time, having a good conversation, and that's fine. I don't have to see you again.
So I'm from Westwood, right? So we can see them coming down the block, and we would just like act like we ain't in the house, right? What was one of your experiences of going out preaching to Jehovah's Witness? Give me one of those experiences, and just give me one of those stories that like stick out the most.
What I would love to say first is that is one of the first things people always bring up is the hiding. But I would say, honestly, like 80% of the people did open their doors. Like, I had a lot of really great conversations. I rarely had somebody be nasty to me or shove a window in my, or not a window, but like shut the door in my face or anything like that. I think the craziest thing that happened to me personally was like people answering the door naked.
As a little kid, like you little kid, and they open the door naked?
Yeah.
I would call the police on them, and we go.
I mean, at the same time, it's like I'm a stranger coming to your house at 7 a.m. with my mom, and you're not expecting me. So it's like we get what we get.
Right. Okay. So all right. So for middle school, like what kind of things were you into? I mean, like were you still gung ho on Jehovah's Witness? Did you kind of venture out a little bit spiritually, or when did you kind of start to get into your awakening of yourself?
Okay, so by the time of middle school, this is when my mom she remarried when I was 11. And so at this time, she was not going to the Kingdom Hall, but I was still kind of trying to hang on. So I had a mentor named Tiana. I love her so much, but she used to like pick me up and still take me to the meetings and stuff. But it was like, the further we kind of got away, the more I started getting into other things, mainly like fighting, honestly. But
what?
Love to fight, unfortunately.
You guys are throwing hands.
I am an Aries, very much. Yeah. But other than that, I didn't really do too much that was like against the Jehovah's Witnesses. But it's like I can't be in the hall fighting and then knocking on your door, you know. So it's like at that point, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I.
Like, they don't know what you're knocking on the door for. Then they like, are you gonna
get them hands again? Like, no.
like,
my bad. I got the Bible this time.
Like, I'm Jehovah's Witness, and I'm about to go make you go see him.
Right. So yeah, by
How
that point, I was kind of
into
cool
fighting.
I was actually fighting when I was younger too. So, like I said, my dad was very, very violent. He actually accidentally killed me when I was 8 years old. Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. We don't want to go past that. What happened?
So my cousin lived right around the corner from me, and we used to hang out all the time. I'm 8 years old at this point again. So this is at the point where you're like drawing boobs and stuff like that. Real childish, stupid. And so she had like drawn a pair of boobs in my notebook, left it on the couch and went home. When my dad came home and found it, he had a fit about it. And I didn't even know that she had drawn it. I'm like, I didn't draw it. And so what triggered him was he thought that I was lying. And I'm like, and to this day, like, I do not lie because I just know. But I really wasn't lying. And he just would not believe me. And he just started wailing on me. And the way he was hitting my chest, it caved in. So, yeah.
And he was punching you?
Yeah. It was beating my ass.
And you had to go to the hospital?
Mm-hmm. That's actually what led to my parents getting divorced. We had like court mandated therapy, and my dad had to be on visitation and everything. But even for the first 2 years, my mom was trying to hang on. She didn't want divorce or anything. The courts were keeping us apart. But yeah, so they ultimately got divorced because of that incident.
And like, so after that happened, did your father apologize? Was he having like a breakdown? Like you said, he suffered from schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think that played a part in him going off like that, or he was just like, how common did you get like beatings like
Oh,
that?
like every day, but never. Usually not that severe. I mean, bad, but like you don't kill somebody every day. You know what I mean? Like it's usually not that severe. But at that point, like we're thinking it's normal, so it's not like it's hard to explain. Like you got to remember, we're like isolated because my dad doesn't believe that we should be outside. He's thinking that's a danger. And then my mom is a Jehovah's Witness. So our only other place we're going is like the Kingdom Hall, where it's such a niche whole like existence. You're still not getting like real world experience. And so like this happening with my dad is just like a fact of life to me at this point. And so me going around fighting other people, like I'm thinking that's how you handle problems. If I'm trying to talk to you and you don't hear me and I want this problem solved, like the next thing you do, like you hit somebody because that gets their attention. So like I'm not understanding that this is not normal behavior at this point. Up until like high school.
And what year is this? Around?
When that incident happened?
Yeah.
99.
Oh, in 99. Okay.
Yeah, I'm 31.
Okay.
So medically, your chest caved in
Yeah.
and you died for a minute, or you?
Yeah.
Do you have any recollection of where you went during that moment, or is it kind of just a blur?
I woke up in the hospital not knowing what the fuck just happened. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's like that. Okay. Yeah, I just woke up not knowing what happened actually. And then like I just remember them showing me pictures of myself and showing me pictures of my dad and kind of asking like, how did this happen? And I'm confused. Like at this point, I'm not feeling my body. I'm not understanding where I am. I'm just like, where's my mom? Like, what is going on? And that's all I really remember until like months later when we're in court and they're kind of showing the pictures and asking me the same thing. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know. Like, where's my mom again at this point? So I don't, other than those two things, I don't really remember that much about all of it.
Okay.
But your mom she lived with you at this point though. Like you all lived together, but she just didn't come to court or what?
I honestly don't remember enough to give an honest answer. Like she could have been there and they could have like separated us or something. I just know she wasn't directly next to me.
Yeah. I'm just reading the comment. It says the questions y'all just asked. Okay. But like experiences like that are things that make you into who you are and make you be able to go through a lot of stuff, you know, like stuff like that. It really toughens you up. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, so to speak.
And I would say it would be a blessing and a malediction because like how it can correlate to, you know, different things throughout my life. It's like most people's fear that holds them back from things is they don't want to die and they don't want to be like detached from the people that they love. So at this point, I cannot rely on the people that I'm depending on. And my father has literally killed me. So it's like, what do you have to be afraid of? So it's like that fearlessness can open up a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. It can turn into recklessness, or it can turn into like, why not quit my job and start a business? Or why not just like move somewhere that's really exciting and that turns out well? But it's like, I can definitely trace that directly back to what happened in my childhood with my father.
That's truly profound. So high school, where'd you go for high school?
First I went to DECA for my first year, and then I went to Wayne for 2 years. That's where I graduated.
Okay. So like how was that experience at DECA?
I loved DECA so much because at the point when I went, they were still an experimental school, so they had only been open for like 3 years, and so we still had a lot of freedom. There wasn't 9 through 12. It was just 6 gateways, and you can go through them however you wanted. So through my first year, I had gotten through 3.5 gateways, so I was going to graduate in 2 years, but we moved to Huber, and so I went to Wayne, and they just let me skip 1 year, so that was nice.
Oh, wow. Pretty legendary.
Oh, thanks.
So at this point, spiritually, where are you?
At this point, I am not thinking about spirituality at this point. I'm still out here fighting, honestly. This is when I'm like in clubs, I'm dating, I'm exploring like who exactly do I like and all that. And none of this is acceptable in the hall. So like, I'm definitely okay that we're not there. But in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking it's the truth. So I'm not super wilding out. Like I still didn't have a drink until I was really 21 and stuff like that. But I wasn't trying to really think about spirituality in high
What were
school.
some of the things that they would have frowned upon in the hall if they would have noticed that you were doing certain acts?
Still, the fighting, of course, would have been a huge issue. Like, we weren't allowed to use profanity. We're not supposed to do sports with school, even.
What?
No prom. The Jehovah's Witnesses believe we are no part of the world. So anything you don't have to do with worldly people, you just don't do it. So, yeah, like none of that stuff would have.
Sports.
Not like school sports where you're playing with them, but like the witnesses, they'll have like their own league. They don't leave you completely destitute. They do give you alternatives. So like the witnesses have their own basketball league and stuff like that, or like volleyball we would do, but you're not supposed to do all of that with worldly people.
What if LeBron played for the Witness League?
He would have got no shine.
Well,
But he
on the
witness. You know,
Oh,
LeBron.
I see. My bad.
He tells dad jokes nonstop, and he's good at it.
Thank you. But once you start, you can't stop when you start. So don't ever start. I promise you.
A train without brakes.
Absolutely. So, but okay. So you're out in the clubs. You're doing that, but then you're also still moonlighting at the hall.
No, I'm not going in the hall at this point. It's like I know better. I don't want to get kicked out, so it's usually better to just be inactive, for lack of a better way to put it. Like, if you can just kind of fade into the background, then you can come back when you're ready without a problem or a process. So that's kind of what my thinking was at that time.
So I want to ask you. I mean, is that kind of similar to your experience when it comes to the hall?
Well, once I moved in with my dad, it was just like we was going to the hall now, you know. But I used to do all kind of stuff to avoid going to meetings, because you have 3 meetings a week. You got
Outside of service.
Outside of your field service, yeah. But you have a Bible study. We went Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. So the Thursday would be kind of like a group meeting where we all go to the hall and they chop it up and give talks and stuff. And then Tuesday is kind of like more intimate setting where probably about maybe 10, 15 people all come together and you do a Bible study. And then Sunday would be just like a regular Sunday. It's not like church, because there's no
Music
choir singing. Well, the
It's
whole
still music.
congregation gets up and sings together.
Everything's more
Out of it.
interactive.
It's more interactive, but it's less sauce, you know. And there's no, like, how pastors, they kind of like look at pastors like they kind of coonery a little bit with all of the theatrics and you know, like they're more focused on actually just teaching. You know what I mean? And I like some of the disciplines that the hall carries, but you got some things that I don't really think that's right. You know what I'm saying?
What are some of the glaring differences on just the religion base of it? Between that
Well,
and
one major thing is that only 144,000 people are going to actually go to what you would consider heaven or paradise. You know, compared to, I think, like basic Christian religion is like, if you're saved, then you're going to heaven, you know. And then just like the cutting out of the holidays, and you're not celebrating Christmas or your birthdays. And then the Jehovah's Witness Bible, you have the name Jehovah in the Bible, and it's substituted for either Lord or God, one of the two.
Lord in all caps and God both.
Okay, so right, so they put the name Jehovah there. But I just had, I don't know, you might even know my father. His name is Brother Bryant, Paul Bryant.
What congregation was he in? You remember?
He used to go to Madden Hills, but then he started going to the congregation that's right there on James H. McGee.
I used like the sister one, but not the one that he was in. So I just used to see him in passing. I do remember.
But yeah, and then it's like 2 congregations might frequent the same Kingdom Hall, but one might.
It was 4 on James H. McGee.
Was it 4 different ones? So it's meaning like we might be called T-shirt King congregation, and we go there, you know, to that hall on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. But then you might have another congregation, Gold for Your Mouth, that goes on Monday, Wednesday, and Sunday at a later time. You know what I mean?
So out of those and I'm not trying to be funny because I don't want to be disrespectful or that towards anybody's religion. Out of those 4 congregations, I'm pretty sure there's more than 146 people in there.
It's 144,000.
Oh, okay.
But they're also worldwide. There's like 8 million witnesses at this point.
Right. So out of 8 million, only 144,000 are going to go to heaven. Am I right?
So the way it's worded is that those 144,000, they're to serve as kings and queens right along with the Lord. Whereas everyone else, like if you do your good or whatever fuck you want to call it, then you will rest in paradise underneath those people. So you still get to enjoy a good thing, but it's just a different assignment.
Yeah. But another thing is when you die, you don't immediately go to heaven according to the witnesses.
So it's purgatory there.
I think
you're just dirt, they say. You could just turn back to dust.
Yeah, you're just done. There's no consciousness. There's no nothing. You have no conscious that was ever existing or anything. And then they're going to have the Great Tribulation.
Right. Like a technical thing here on earth, a Great Tribulation and Armageddon. And then after that's over, he'll wake us up in droves is what they believe to perfect the earth.
That's kind of similar to others besides that part of you just being dirt. Because, I mean, like, the other religions believe in purgatory where you wait until the world ends. So, like, everything I've heard is, like, we'll be resurrected when the world ends. That's
it's how I like to explain how the Jehovah's Witnesses believe versus church is like, in my experience, they just take it very literal. Like every teaching, whether you believe it's right or wrong, I can really show you directly in the Bible where it said that, but was it supposed to be interpreted that way is the question.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Witnesses is cool. They got their own faction.
Yeah, I know a couple cool ex-witnesses.
But the bicker is just the origin of it all, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they coming in late to the game. They kind of like a spinoff of something else.
A remix.
Yeah, because the person that was actually founding it and came up with this concept, he was like linked in with somebody else and kind of like under the tutelage of somebody else. And then he kind of like was taking stuff that he didn't agree with, stuff that he did agree with, and just like shaping it into what he felt like was how this thing should be. This is how you should believe.
The same for any sect, though. Honestly, that's how most religions have started.
It does, but I think that the point is kind of like,
how can it be the truth though when it started that late in the game? That's my beef with it. Like exactly. You're saying that we are the only ones that are right though, and everybody else is absolutely wrong. If they don't follow us, they're gonna die. Like that.
And the Most High let all of these other people be wrong for these thousands and thousands of years. Until this finally came along.
Stuff like that is what led me to ultimately believe, like, hold on, this kind of don't make that much sense if you really think about it.
What was your aha moment in regards to your spiritual journey?
It was a process for sure. So, okay, kind of back to what we were initially talking about in high school. So at this point, I'm dating girls and boys. So that's definitely a no at the hall and with my parents. So I'm getting confused. Like, do I ever want to go back to the hall, or what is the truth? What happens if I don't go back? Like, where am I going to end up? Like, all of these types of questions. So witnesses get baptized usually like notoriously young. But even the way that I was thinking at that time, it's like, we're not allowed to like drive or drink or all these things because they think that we're too young. Like, at the age of 7 or 8, because they think we're too young to make major decisions. So it's crazy to me to get baptized. Like, I'm vowing that I'm going to do exactly what this religion says that I should do for the rest of my life. Like, so I held off. I didn't get baptized until I was 19. So when I did get baptized, though, I tried to talk to my elders beforehand. Like, I feel like I should do this, but I don't know if I really want to do this. And like, here's why. They kind of honestly, they brushed it off. They was just like, oh, you'll be all right. So I got baptized and I'm preaching and I started freaking out. Like, am I qualified to do this knowing how I really feel and like what I was doing in high school and what I would prefer to do right now? And so I go and I speak to somebody in the congregation that I trust, and they pretty much tell me like, see if you can make it like work with some guy. Just see if like you can settle, because this 80 years on earth is nothing compared to the millions of years in paradise. So whatever you got to do to just get you through. So I get a boyfriend and I have my daughter, and it's like, well, that didn't fucking go as planned, because now I'm like locked into this and I have to, whatever. And so obviously I get in trouble because I'm having a baby out of wedlock. And I'm kind of salty because I'm like, the elder's wife low-key gave me this advice. We didn't know it was going to turn into all this, but it's like, y'all pray for guidance before you speak to us, because you're supposed to be like that person that helps me understand what God's trying to tell me. So I don't understand like how we got here collectively when I reached out beforehand, like about my weaknesses. So I end up getting in trouble. They take away like all my privileges at the hall, like the talks I was doing, like I was doing the conventions, like the talks on stage. I was helping with youth. I was like full-time preaching. It was called a pioneer at that point. So they announce it on the podium they announce it to the whole congregation when you get in trouble. Like,
what?
Jessica Roberts is no longer a pioneer. She is now on reproof. Embarrassing, horrible,
Were you
shameful.
in the building when that happened?
And I sit in the front and I'm just like, so at that point, I'm just thinking like, I did fuck up, right? But I know my heart. Me as a person, like, I don't lie. I really live with intention. I follow the rules, like, for the most part. So I'm not understanding, like, why God would punish me this harsh. So that turned into, like, I don't know if you niggas is really talking to God. So that that kind of led me to, like, I don't think any of this is real. So November 2016, I was just like, yeah, I'm not going back.
So I want to ask you,
did they reach out and try to find you after you stopped going?
Not the elders, which is very interesting to me, because they preach so hard. You don't give up on anybody. Like, even if it takes you 10 years to get somebody to come back to the hall, like, you keep going. Or even like when you knock on the doors and somebody's not home, like, you keep going. So the fact that they didn't check for me at all when I was such a huge part of the congregation was mind-boggling to me.
That's because how do they know that you wasn't just in this depressed state?
I'm telling them I am.
To come and rescue you.
They didn't have to guess. I'm telling them. I'm telling them this. I'm reaching out. They didn't even have to guess.
And you just had a new baby.
And I just had a new baby.
What is postpartum?
Man, but
and may I also mention, like, it was a lot of other stuff going on, like her dad, the stuff with that. So he ended up, when I was 5 months pregnant, getting diagnosed with schizophrenia, had a real bad breakdown.
What?
Never went back to normal. So it's like, remember, my dad's schizophrenic, so I'm like, I already know how this shit's about to go. Like, this is about to be all bad. So it's like, the stuff with her dad is going bad. My pregnancy is going horrible. I'm sick as fuck. I'm in trouble at the hall. I don't have no friends because I'm back at the hall, so I'm not being worldly anymore. And the witnesses don't talk to me because I'm no longer a good example. Like, I'm so on my own. That shit was horrible.
Yeah, man.
It was horrible.
So what about the other people? Because to me, I don't think nobody perfect. Nobody. Were there people that were still ingratiated in there that have noticeable that like they're not walking in that perfect light?
Absolutely, because it's like, just because you go to the hall, that doesn't necessarily make you a witness. Like, that's just the building. You have to actually internalize what it is that they're telling you. You have to wholeheartedly believe it, and then you have to like actually act on it. But a lot of people just think like, well, I'm in this bitch, so like maybe that's enough, and like I might go to heaven or I might go to paradise or whatever. But it's like, it says faith without works is dead. You have to actually do the work. You can't just show up. But a lot of people just show up. Or it's like, my mom was a witness and my grandma was, so like I'll be here because I don't know what else to do with my life.
So like, you think that because you were such a bright young star that they kind of were more heavy-handed in their disciplining you because they had so much high hopes for you?
Yes, and it's interesting that you bring that up, because so how they do it, they put together a committee for you. So it's like 3 to 4 elders, and they really take you in, and like you have like a hearing about what you did, and they ask you all these types of questions like about your offense or whatever. But I had got there a little early, and so I'm overhearing them talking, and I just remember the one elder that I usually always went out to preach with. He was like, she has to be lying. What was she doing? Like, she was out with us, but what was she doing before or after? And I'm like, y'all already accusing me before you hear me, so I already know this shit is not about to go well. And again, even then I'm thinking like, did y'all pray yet? Because this sounds like real wild to me.
What was the offense that they charged you with?
Fornication.
So ain't nobody in the church like, how are they repopulating these pews?
You just supposed to be married?
My mom.
Oh. you're supposed to be married first. That's their requirement. I mean, and that is what it says in the Bible. Like, they're not doing anything so crazy that's like not in the Bible. It's just, again, like the way that they interpret it and enforce it. Because I understand the objective overall is to keep the congregation clean, because it's like the broken window effect. I don't know if either of you have heard of that, like about New York. So the broken window effect is in New York in the 90s when crime was really, really high. They were trying all these things like bringing in the SWAT team or having like more police enforcement or whatever to try to bring crime down. But it was like steady escalating. So somebody came along and they was like, what if we just like cleaned up the vandalism or like fixed the windows? And that over time like made the biggest difference to now like a lot of New York has been gentrified. But the thinking is if somebody comes in and they're not from there and they see a broken window or they see vandalism, they're assuming that this is a lawless area. So even if they're normally a lawful person in this area, they're allowed to do whatever they want. And so it's like the more people that come in and see that, now there's 2 broken windows and more, in like soon you see decline overall. And so it's like the one small thing is usually what makes the biggest difference.
Wow, that's crazy. So let's talk about your spirituality journey. Now that you are excommunicated, I always say that and they laugh when I say that when it comes to that, because so I want to liken that to a story that I witnessed, right? I didn't mean to use that. That was an unintentional bar. I would not take credit for it. I was sitting in your seat and we were having a lively podcast, right? I don't have any experience with the, Watchtower and all that type of stuff. Is the name of the magazine?
Yeah.
I don't at all. So I was actually, we did a podcast waiting on the brothers to show up to kind of, because I don't know. Like, I wanted to see what they knew. I wanted to learn from them. But in the middle of a lively podcast, I was cussing, like the same way you were just cussing right there. And they walked in, heard me cussing, and turned around and walked out.
Yeah, that'd be kind of one of my beefs with them too. One of the reasons I really loved being out in service is like, so we would be in the car, right? Now, I did most of my preaching in Huber Heights after high school. So the area is wildly different, obviously, from like West Dayton. So mostly older white people. And if they saw somebody with like too many tattoos or smell like weed or whatever, they wouldn't want to preach to them. And I would just be like, what if they're the motherfucking person that really needed saved right now? Like, right, because you would knock on these more established areas and people would literally say stuff like, we have enough scriptures, or like, God clearly has us. And it's like, wow. All right, that's cool. So it's like, just even based on psychology, not religion, like anybody can use more good in their life. So I love to talk to literally anybody, but I gravitate more towards the people that like they're probably not gonna talk to, because those be like the most beautiful experiences in my opinion.
Let me ask you something too. All right, and this is a little off track, but this is a good discussion. What do you equate to someone being blessed?
That's a really good question.
Because
I was like, is that the stuff?
Right on time.
Okay,
cash out, cheddar cheese coming through. But I think that the reason why I'm asking you that is because let's say that you are in a community where people have nice houses and they got things going well for themselves as far as financially. Is that blessed?
No. I'm struggling to find the right words, but it's like I feel like blessed is more of a feeling, because you might have all of these things or you might look established, but we don't know what their mind is like or what they struggle with or what their insecurities are. Like, they may still feel completely horrible every day, have a miserable existence, want to die. So it's like, are you really blessed because you have all this stuff that you don't really care about? Like, no, not really. But somebody super poor can be very, very happy because they have an abundance of love and support around them, and that's enough. Like, that's blessed. I feel like it's more about the way that you're feeling.
And to me, I would say just the fact that, like, if someone's blessed, then like the blessings will multiply, right? It's to me, it's about multiplication. Like, if you're blessed, then you'll be able to bless someone else, and you'll be able to multiply your blessing through other people. That's the one who's truly blessed. Like, for instance, I mean, Jesus, what you're gonna call him, with the fish, he fed all these other people. He was able to take that blessing and multiply that by whatever amount of people it is.
So let me ask you this. For me to be able to have a store for 24 years, do you think that that's blessed?
Yeah, absolutely.
For you specifically, I would say yes, just because I already know a little bit about you and I can feel the energy. But in general, it's like there's so many non-blessed reasons people can have a store for 25 years just based off like the general economy or where they're located, or if they have a good that everybody wants or something like that. Like Walmart is a horrible store morally, but they thrive and run. But I wouldn't say that they were blessed.
So the Walmart family is not blessed. No?
I don't know the Walmart family, but I would say it's not a blessing that the Walmart store has been in business for so long.
It's hard for me to. I think my answer would be to my own question would kind of be like, you're blessed if you recognize it. You know, because like it is hard for you to look at someone else and say that they're blessed, because in general, like you said, like the person who doesn't have anything could still be blessed if they're content with what they have.
Absolutely.
But I think that's true, because like sometimes, like it was times that I didn't have a woman or something, and I'd be driving down Main and I see two crackheads walking down the street together, and I'd be thinking like, damn, how is it that they can find somebody and I can't? You know, so blessing is almost in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Like I look at P and say, man, bro, you blessed. But Peanuts in his own life, he's saying, man, damn, bro, I got to get this shit together.
And I've experienced that a lot. Like from the outside looking in, people will be like, oh, you've been in business for 5 years. You have your home and all that stuff. Like you're so blessed. But it's like, I don't feel well though. And people discount that because they think you're blessed.
Yeah. Or like I'm going to tell you the next level of it. Let's say that you are consistently doing well on Facebook with putting out posts. Every post that you put out gets, 100 comments on it. That's blessed to somebody who is not doing that, and that's their goal. So if somebody can trade places with you, essentially to them, you're blessed. I don't know. That was just a thought. I mean,
yeah.
Because you said you do field service out, and people would hit you with that, like,
yeah.
I think we're all blessed, just in our own different ways.
I think so too.
Because even when you spoke about like your father being schizophrenic, I mean, I also asked you like, he said things that were also coherent and in line with what you know today.
I still got a lot of good things from my dad, honestly. Like my business sense, the way I am with money, like my determination with school, like I got that stuff from my dad.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the Aries Alchemist, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the inception of Aries Alchemist. Where did this originate, and how do you help your clients with your gifts?
So it originated because I had a very close person to me pass actually a couple years ago, and I just wanted to know where she was. Yeah. I knew that the hall wasn't real. Or well, I believed that the hall was not the truth, rather. And so I'm like, okay, so what is the truth? Is there truth? Or like, where do people really go? Like, I just wanted to know where she could possibly be so that I could maybe contact her again or possibly see her again or something like that. And it kind of just ended up leading me into the tarot cards, honestly. I'm trying to think, how did I end up getting my first reading? I think it was like a friend of a friend, somebody I trusted to not be crazy, even though I didn't really understand what it was. Because, in the hall, they teach us stuff like that is demonic. Like, you better never. But it was like, I don't know, Treese doesn't seem like a demon, so it's probably okay. So it's like I got that first reading and it hit so hard. I was like, oh, it got to really be something to this. Because even though I knew her through somebody, she didn't know those intimate things about my life. And so that kind of made me think like, And so from there, I kind of just like kept on stepping into it more and more until I was led to buy my own cards. Just one day hanging out in Yellow Springs, I just picked it up and then it was like on from there.
So you started doing your own readings for yourself?
I started for myself at first last February, and then like by, I would say, April and May, I was practicing on friends and family. And then shortly after that, I was like opening it to social media under just the Aries Alchemist account, like not as myself, to get practice. And then it was like, okay, now I feel comfortable putting this on my regular profile. Like, I know you guys knew me as the preacher, but I'm doing this now. And so that was like just a real abrupt transition.
What does tarot mean?
Tarot is the name of the cards. It's like Tarocchi or something. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like an Italian name, but it's the name of the actual deck of cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the science behind it? Like, so the random card that you pull out gives insight on things that, yeah, for sure. The random card that you pull out, it gives you what? Tell me about it.
So it falls under the umbrella of divination, and what I mostly do is channeling. So the tarot cards really, really help because they come with a standardized set of definitions. So it's like maybe like some of this could have been channeled, like it could have just been God having you say something in particular that I'm going to carry with me later. Like even that can be channeling if you don't know that you're doing it. But this is like an intentional something somewhere is telling me to select this card and then giving me an intuitive hit about what it possibly means for the situation.
Yeah.
But it's mostly your intuition. Like, what do you believe it means? Not unlike when you just go throughout the day. Like, if you've ever had a feeling when you're going home, like, maybe I should take the back street today. Like, it's literally the exact same feeling when you pull the cards.
Wow. And that's how you interpret what this card means for the person that you are reading it for?
Mostly just based on what you feel. Yeah. It has a lot to do with intuition. And I think that comes into why a lot of people believe sometimes that it's maybe fake, because it's like, okay, but where are you getting the information from? And why can't you give a super direct answer? But it's like, because there's not one. Like, depending on what you believe in, like it may be directly from God, like having me give somebody this message, or it could possibly be your ancestor that came to me having this message for you. Like, you don't always necessarily know, but you can just feel the energy. Like, okay, is this a good energy? Is it an urgent energy or what? And you kind of just go from there.
Wow. So have you ever like pulled a tarot card and then felt bad for the person have you ever had to give like a bad message to someone?
Often. I often have to give people bad messages.
And give me an example.
So if sometimes people will come in with a specific question, but most of the times they're just interested in a reading and they don't really know what to expect. So they'll just be like, whatever comes out. And so when you go by whatever comes out, it's like they're going to give you whatever the most pressing message is. What do you really need to pay attention to right now? And most people are not very aware when they go throughout their life. So it's like you're usually missing something that's going to put you in some type of danger at some point. So it could be like, oh, you maybe didn't know that you were about to get evicted, or that your partner is cheating on you, or that your child is sick, or that you're sick, or something like that. Like it can literally be anything coming because it's just the energy.
Damn. So the energy that they put off, when their energy is what produces the card.
Right. I'm reading their energy, and it's like whatever's attached to that. Because if you, or like, I'll just use myself as an example. Me and my daughter, we live together. We're always together. We're really close. So you would be able to read my daughter through me too, because our energy is so connected. And that's why, when people say like, protect your energy, don't let everybody have access to you, it's because their energy stays with you like that.
Damn. So the card that you're pulling out is just a reflection of their energy.
Yeah.
And then it actually it's like a way for their energy to be illustrated.
Exactly. It's just like whatever's already in you, I'm bringing it to your awareness at this point.
Wow. And when you're reading the card in general, people want to know about their future.
People usually do, want to know about their future, but a lot of it is like time isn't real, so it's very malleable. So the energy like this, it might come out like this has already passed, but maybe you didn't interpret it that way, or you're getting a different perception, but it matters for you right now. Or it could be something that just happened yesterday, or it can be later. Or even if I say soon, like we don't know, is that going to be tomorrow or in 5 years or 10 years, because time is just so malleable.
Right. I am interested in that, and I like numerology a whole lot too.
That plays into the cards a lot. Yeah.
So, do you know your life path number?
Yes, I'm a 9, just like Peanut. Even though he
You
left.
are a 9. I told Peanut that he was a 9.
What's yours?
I'm a number 1.
Okay.
Yep. I'm life path number 1. So,
Hi.
but before I ever, hey baby, that's my daughter. She's a life path number 6, 5.
I think my daughter's in 6 actually too.
Yeah, 6 is a nurturer. So, what about your soul urge number?
I do not know that number by heart.
Yes, you know what the soul urge is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Briefly, a little bit.
Right, no doubt. It just kind of goes by your name, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But, so, as a life path number 9, I think that puts you in an outstanding position to help people.
Like, this is really my path.
Yeah.
Because what I always wanted to do is really just all the stuff that I went through as a kid. It's like life deals you whatever hand and you just got to do what you can with it. But not everybody has the capacity to like see it that way and to be able to navigate past it. So I'm always just looking like, what is the best way for me to help people live more consciously and be aware so they just know what their options are. Like, you can do whatever you want, but it's not fair when you got to choose from 1 or 2 things when there's like 10 different things you could be doing.
One of the main things about life, I'll ask you this. So out of all of your studying, out of you getting closer with the Most High and you just becoming more spiritual, what is the meaning of life?
I don't know if there is one meaning to life. I think that we just all have our own individual purposes. Like, I can tell you what my purpose is. If I was to give somebody a reading, I could kind of lead them to what their purpose may be. But I don't know if there is just one blanket meaning to life.
What is your purpose in life?
To inspire people to live consciously. That's what it's all about.
And what's the benefit of living consciously?
The main benefit is that, so there's so many things that we cannot control, but there's more that we can control that people maybe don't necessarily realize. So if you're conscious of the things that you can control, you have a better chance of building yourself a better or just more comfortable or more successful life. Like, you don't have to suffer from being a victim all the time, or you don't have to suffer from defeatism because you're aware that there's more than what you've actually seen.
And so what about life after death? Because you said that you had a friend that passed away, and you wanted to figure out if there was any way that you would be able to ever find her. What about life after death?
What I'm leaning towards at this point in time is, I would say that I do believe in reincarnation, because I have been able to communicate with her on my own a few times, but mostly through other, like my own spiritual advisors. And it's like, there's always in the back of somebody's head, like, what if it's not them? But I've been shown so many times super specific things. So this was my soul friend from 15. She was my best friend. We co-parented together. We raised our kids together. They're 9, 10, and 11. And then we were engaged at the time that she passed. So like, this was like my person. So like, stuff that definitely nobody would know, but like me and Champagne, like, they're telling me that she's sending through. So it's like, okay, she's definitely not all the way gone. So it's like, I don't know where
Can you tell me an example or no? I love hearing stuff like this. Honestly, I mean, I'll preface it all by saying, like, I make memorial T-shirts in here, and so everybody who comes in here that I get a chance to work with now, I ask them, have they ever do they have any type of signs that their people who passed away have sent them, or a dream or something, and I get the same answer, and every time it's an emphatic yes. Everybody.
That's a beautiful question to be asking them too.
Signs and symbols that their people who passed away are still with them somehow, some way. So
there was definitely vaguer ones. Like, me and her had a thing about cardinals. So I had another very, very close friend that passed the year before hers, and she would always say like, look, that's Max right there on the branch. And so it's like, when she passed, I would always see 2 cardinals on the branch now. So it's like, oh, that's Max and champagne. How cool. So like some more vague things like that. But one that I am comfortable sharing just because I've already posted it on Facebook. When she would send me cash apps, she would send like just real raunchy messages on them like, oh, $50 for the bomb ass pussy. And so it's like one of my readers had sent me a cash app and said the exact same thing. And it's like, that's so out of pocket for my spiritual advisor that does not know me intimately like that to be putting in a cash app note. So it's like, I know that was champagne. It had to only be champagne.
Wow. Did the spiritual advisor make reference? Did you ask the spiritual advisor why she put that message?
It's crazy because as soon as I was about to type it, she hit me first. She was like, yeah, that was champagne. I was like, fucking knew it. I knew it. It had to be champagne because who else would say that to me? That's a weird thing to just say to somebody.
Your spiritual advisor never knew any type of messaging or anything like that you and champagne would do?
Not at this point. Not that one, no. So it's like, I know that has to be champagne. That's her for sure. And then like little songs, like, for example, my story with her is a whole other long story. But so at one point I had her blocked and we ran into each other at the store because we just lived around the corner from each other. And so I was explaining to somebody how I wish I would have unblocked her so we could have, one more conversation before she had passed. And right when they said that, my phone had clicked on the music and it was Harden by Lil Wayne. And it was like that part where he says something about you blocked my number, like James Harden, damn, you blocked my jumper. And it's like, oh, okay, that was her. Like, yeah, she is salty because I blocked her. And we could have had that last one, but it's okay because we can still communicate now.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
She communicates the most through music. And it's like, that makes sense because that was our thing. Like, we would make playlists together or we would always do karaoke together. So it's like stuff that's so specific to her. It got to be her.
Right. Right. I just wish that we just had that, like, it just fucks with your mind because you're like, damn, is this really it? Or is this like, are they really trying to communicate? Like, man, my brother that passed away, my brother Tay, man, he comes and chops it up with me all the time, man. Mm-hmm. But before he passed away, I was asleep and he was at Cleveland Clinic Hospital. Mm-hmm. And I have my basketball program here, and his son plays in my basketball program. And he was just like my brother that was like really into it with me, And I had a dream that I had took a bunch of kids up to Cleveland and we was going to get Tay out of the hospital. And we went to the hospital and we was driving a van and I went there to pick my brother up from the hospital. So I woke up out of the dream. He calls me almost immediately. I don't know if his call woke me up, but like right after I woke up, me and him was on the phone. He said, damn, bro, I just had this dream that you came and got me from the hospital. He said, yeah, man. I said, what? When'd you have this dream? He said, just now, probably like 5 minutes ago. I had just had this dream 5 minutes ago. I said, bro, I swear, I just dreamed that we came to pick you up from the hospital. And I had to I got detailed because I wanted to nail this thing down to make sure that we was having a dream about the same thing occurring at the same time. And we were.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
I call it linking up in the 5D.
Man, on New Year's, after my brother had passed away, his wife and his sons and everybody, we was all up here just chopping it up and kicking it, right? So one thing that his wife always says that he always communicates with her by dropping dimes on the floor, right? He drops dimes everywhere. So we in here on New Year's, we chopping it. It's a circle. We done got in a circle and we're just all talking. Boom, 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 boom. She said, bruh, look. In the middle of the circle was a dime.
That was him. Stuff like that is so real.
Was a dime. It was the most unbelievable thing because there was absolutely no reason for us to be in a circle with a dime. As soon as he passed away, his birthday came out in the number, in the lottery. Sending messages. We was all with him when he died too, by the way.
It's like they try to contact you and it's like they send so many times until you eventually reach a point to where you know how to speak to them and build back that same kind of connection y'all had on Earth.
Man, unbelievable. I had a dream about him and you know, we was talking about some stuff. I had talked to one of our close friends the day before or that day, and I was kind of like upset in my dream when me and him was talking. And I was about to just say like, damn, bro, I'm so sad that you fucking died, bro. But he seen I was about to say that. And before he cut me off, he was like, man, my room's sweet as fuck. And I was like, what? Damn, I'm like, your room's sweet. What you mean? I was like, what you got in your room? And my brother was kind of like, he gets snappy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, what, nigga? What the fuck is you asking me? So he was like, he said, shit, nigga, I got the same shit in my room you got in your room. And I'm like, damn, he trying to tell me he's fucking cool. And he ain't missing shit. And don't be sad for him about nothing because he's doing what he does.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I don't know. I love talking about that stuff. I love the build. Just for me to be in a position to deal with so many people who going through heartbreak. And it took me a while to get in my bag to start actually asking people, how did their people pass away to come into the store or to get them to share stories with me and stuff. It took me a while, but now I've been doing it for so long that I understand that it's therapy for them to be able to talk about it and help get over it. You know, that's why I want to make the shirts the best that I possibly can to, like, you know, give them some comfort, give them some therapy, but also the people who passed away, man, let them represent them the best way that they can because the people's energy is still around and they know what's going on.
And they do so much for us. It's like, it's just a nice way to honor them.
Yeah.
Because I definitely have like an altar up for Champagne. And since I've had this journey trying to contact her, I've been able to contact like other ancestors, like my grandfather. And it turns out since I haven't talked to my family, like 3 of his brothers had passed. And so it's like, it sucks I wasn't able to, you know, say goodbye because I wasn't in contact with my family. But the fact that I have my altar up and I can speak to them through my grandpa or like my grandpa's mom and stuff like that, like, it's nice.
Yeah. Man, Bunny, I want to do this again. I want you to come through and just, you know, just chop it up with us on a regular about trending topics and stuff that you got going on.
I'd love to.
And man, bring your whole audience over here, man. You come and invite them. You can put questions out on the podcast and then let people call in and chop it up with you and give you answers and stuff. You know what I mean?
I love that. Thank you.
For sure, man. I want you to close us out with some words of wisdom, though.
Words of wisdom. Let's see. Your mess is not your message. Whatever you're going through right now, like, it's just a fart in the wind. Don't let that define you. You can be whoever you want to be.
Yeah. Man, say less. All right, you guys, man. We love everybody. We will be seeing you soon. And give us a call, man.